Brian Powell of I Run Far here with Tim Tollefson before the 2021 UTMB. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this feel like old hat coming back to Chamonix now?
A bit, yeah. Lindsay was just asking me, this is our 6th trip over. So I'm feeling pretty familiar with everything, and it's nice to be back after the pandemic.
Yeah. Nice little return to normalcy, maybe?
Yeah, a bit. I mean, it's strange, and everyone being masked up in there through the town plaza, and you can tell there are less people.
There really are.
Yeah.
I just was noting that in the press room.
Yeah.
It was only Tuesday, or is it? What day is it?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
But it's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
But you're back,
Mm-hmm.
6th time. You had 3 really good runs in a row at the UTMB races, one at CCC, 2 at UTMB,
yeah.
and then 2 not so good days out there.
Yeah.
Which way larger in your mind going into another race here?
Like memories of those?
Yeah.
I guess I don't think too much of any of them. The successes were great, and if I reflect on it, it brings a smile to my face. But I don't think it serves me well to dwell on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other ones, like one was just bad luck, and the 2019, the second bad one in a row, was kind of like I came in and I shouldn't have really been here. I wasn't in a good physical or mental space, and so. But yeah, I guess I haven't thought too much of those.
Yeah. Well, more recently on your mind should be Western States.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. You had a good run, but it didn't seem like an easy one for you. Tell me a little bit about your day out there.
Yeah, it was that was a tough one. I mean, I'm very when I reflect on that race, taking 5th at States is something I'm proud of, and especially finishing the day when everything kind of went south.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really I'll be forever thankful and proud of that moment. But I ran so far short of what I know I'm capable of that I was really disappointed. And I think objectively, it's probably one of my worst finishes in my career. So that was hard to sit with. But again, I finished it. And I think that I learned a lot. And I wasn't not going to finish. You never know if you'll get back to States.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the race deserves that. But it was, I left Auburn feeling pretty down just because I knew I was so physically ready that I missed an opportunity to kind of strike, but it happens.
Now, I guess there's two things I want to touch on there. First is the mental. Have you been able to, that's fine having that emotion at that time. It's normal. You were disappointed.
Yeah.
How have you bounced back from that? Or have you specifically thought about that and get yourself ready mentally?
Yeah. I'd say mentally, at States, I actually lost it mentally there, and I think that's where I kind of derailed my own race. But so I was able to kind of work through that and kind of troubleshoot things that I know I did poorly and where I'd want to work on the next time around. And then I think the downside is because I came out of it physically actually doing really well because I didn't scrape the bottom of the well like I had hoped. It put me in a dangerous situation where I was rearing to redeem myself, through UTMB.
Yeah.
But I had to respect, and I didn't really, that my body still went through a 17-hour day on tough terrain. And even though my energy levels were fine and I got back into training, seemingly no problem, it wasn't long after that I started developing little niggles. And so I've kind of been plagued the last 6 weeks with some lower leg stuff. And I think it was because I didn't check my ego the way I should have after States and just enjoyed some time off and be like, hey, sure, you didn't hit it the way you wanted, but you should be proud. And so I think I learned a big lesson in this build also, where 200s within 8 or 9 weeks isn't advised, I would say, at really at your own personal high level. But I think I'm learning that I'm capable of it if I had approached it a little better. So we'll see.
So you kind of touched on the second point I wanted to talk about is did you go to the bottom of that well as deeply as you would in a perfect day? And it doesn't sound like you did.
At States?
Yeah.
No, I'd say I was setting myself up to do that. Then I basically just had a really horrible Cal Street, was ready to drop out of the race, sat in that aid station for almost 40 minutes on Cal 2. And then I'd say basically I had given up mentally. But when I did finally rally and came back, my final 15 miles, I got back into oh no, I scraped the bottom of the well for the final 15 miles, but there was
not the
stretches in
same.
the middle. No,
No.
it was almost like 2 runs in one.
60 and then you
Yeah.
had a 15-mile.
And sitting for so long, I was so tight. Like it was just, it was terrible. But yeah, I'd say I gave everything I had for the final like 2 hours of the race.
Yeah.
And then I came up short. But,
And then,
yeah.
as you touched on, maybe a lesson to take out of this is like, no matter what, take those 2 weeks of downtime.
Yes.
How quickly did you get back into it?
I took 3 days off, and then I started just easy running.
Okay.
So it wasn't like jumping into training, but and I was smart about it. But I think I'm also learning. I'm 36. Like if I had done this when I was in my 20s, I probably could have gotten away with that. But little things pop up quicker, and so yeah, I found that. Again, my energy was great, and I was able to even put in some like big days about 2 to 3 weeks later. But some of the soft tissue just wasn't happy.
So, do you think you can? You were trying to go through that redemption phase, preparing for UTMB. Do you think you can get out of that mindset on race day? Because it doesn't seem like it would necessarily be helpful.
No, and that's like Lindsay's been very encouraging and supportive, and she's like, you don't have to race. She reminds me that I don't have to race. And I think that's a hard thing as an athlete to kind of come to terms with. But knowing that I want to race, the only way I feel like I have a chance to have a successful day on Friday and Saturday is if I don't race the field, basically, because I know I'm not coming in prepared like I was in my 2017, 18, or even 19 years. So I think it's going to be more of a appreciation and respect for the event and be like, hey, I need to make it around the full loop. And then knowing that UTMB is a race where if you have that mindset and you're not trying to podium, you can end up on the podium. But like if I go in the lead pack, which I know I'm capable of doing, I think I am gambling unnecessarily and really in store for a poor outcome.
So you could have not only a much more fun day, but a much better day if you're in 30th at Saint-Gervais or Les Contamines or 50. I mean, what does it matter? That's only a couple minutes.
Yeah, and I think just given my physical state, like, I'm carrying a lot of fitness from States, but I haven't run longer than 24 miles since States, which maybe it's not a huge deal, but I've never come into a 100-miler without having like a proper long run. So, there's kind of that like, oh, well, this is going to be a test of unknowns. Like, I'm not confident, I'm not prepared the way I normally would, but who knows, maybe that sets me up for a good day.
So how do you check your confidence, your ego? Like,
ego, yeah.
Like,
that's maybe show up to the start line 30 minutes late so that I can't even like.
Or even 10 minutes late.
So just roll out after everyone's left. I don't have a good answer for that yet because I could say something, but then I'm going to be on the line with the music blaring and I look around and I'm going to get sucked out. But I hope I get sucked out for half a mile. And once we pop out of like downtown, then I just like settle into.
Can you just have like Lindsay be like a kilometer down the course and be like
hard stop?
Like,
she just like,
I need a hug now. Like
maybe. So I mean, I guess I'm pretty good about not getting too caught up in other people's races, but I'm not above getting sucked out. So
getting caught up in your what you've done in the past,
and that, I mean, that's also something that's difficult. Where knowing what I'm capable out here, if I come out and give a really honest effort and I'm proud of it, I'm gonna have to just be okay with that was my best version of me on that day, and that's fine. Like, and not compared to my 2017 or 2018 self, which I can say that whether or not I like actually live it will be something else. But I think that it's something to remind myself or others to remind themselves of. It's like, hey, you can be your best on that day. You don't have to be your
best day ever.
The best day ever. Like and to give your best doesn't have to be that best day ever.
Well, good luck, and I hope you enjoyed out there, Tim.
Thanks, man. Yeah.